I respect everybody until they earn my disrespect. First of all, we'll give a shout out to the NSA, whoever else might be looking in on what I have to say. But I wanted to discuss, what freedoms do you really believe that you have now, today? Let's have a look at it. If we listen to all of the scandals that have come about in the past, 6, 8, even 10 months, almost a year ago when Benghazi happened, we know for a fact that scandals are happening, people are being hidden, people are being told to talk, but not to talk, by the government. Told to not talk, having to sign disclosure agreements unnecessarily, unless somebody's hiding something. Told outright, we've heard this now, told outright not to talk. Now, we know that the NSA looks in and listens to everything that we do. They admitted it themselves. What they said was, well, we just store the call. We store the email. We store the electronic communications. And we metadata all of this. And then if we see a pattern that we have to go back and listen to the call itself, we have to go in front of a judge and get a warrant and get an okay and blah blah blah, certain channels. Now, all of a sudden they're trying to tell us, no, we don't record the call itself. No, we don't ever listen to the call itself. Backtracking, lying, covering tracks. Just as we saw when the IRS scandal broke. First of all, they outright admitted it. Then all of a sudden, they're all trying to backpedal. Well, this is gone, right now, it has gone clear to the White House. The IRS scandal is connected to the White House now. But we were just making up phony scandals so that we don't have to agree with an illegal alien Muslim mutt usurping our White House. But now, as I said, the NSA listening in on absolutely everything that we do. Everything. Well, we know that the DHS, Department of Homeland Security, is arming itself to the teeth. Almost 3,000 armored vehicles. Now, listen. This is in addition to, if you live in a small town, you've probably noticed, wow, why does my police department have an armored vehicle? Wow, why does my police department need a Humvee? This has been happening all over America. So this is over and above what DHS is arming itself with. We know for a fact that they have bought an unprecedented amount of hollow point rounds. Unprecedented. We also know that the IRS has been training with the DHS on how to shoot AK-47s and M16s. And nice, real cute. Who are they arming themselves against? The IRS. Who is the IRS arming themselves against? Unprecedented. Okay, so we have the NSA, we have scandal after scandal that we know is happening. These are facts. Even though the president, the joke that this piece of shit is, tells you that these scandals are phony. 4 men are dead in Benghazi. And now the information is coming out that it was a gun running operation to Al-Qaeda. I believe I said this all along. It wasn't about some retarded video that old bunghole personally didn't like because it was anti-Muslim. Because it's kind of funny, how did he find out about a video that only had less than, a couple of hundred hits on it when he blamed that video for this supposed attack? But anyway, back to the freedoms that we enjoy these days. Now, we're having our Christianity is now being vilified. In the army, you can't espouse your Christian faith, but You know, if you're a Muslim, go right ahead. You can't espouse your Christian faith, but if you want to wear a tutu in the barracks, well, go right ahead. I'm not getting all of this. And it is always the faithful, Christian, moral, straight, white male that seems to be getting attacked. Everything that we've ever lived for or fought for is being attacked now. If you're a constitutionalist, you're looked at with a sneer. If you're a truther, you're looked at with a sneer. What? I don't get all of this. These are, listen to the name, a truther. He wants to know the truth. How can you look at somebody with a sneer on your face that is looking for the truth? Isn't this what we all should strive to look for? No, things have been turned around. Good is bad, and bad is good. Whenever a bunghole tells you something like, when you hear voices telling you of government tyranny, you should reject those voices. It seems like he forgets that those voices that are telling those college students about government tyranny are more than likely their parents. Because most universities now have left-leaning criminals teaching in our universities. It has just come out that a known murderer that murdered his own mom, dad, and sister, spent 6 years in a psych ward, was deemed sane, comes out, gets a degree, and now he's teaching one of our universities. This is besides the bombers that we heard about. Bombers, yeah. People that were making bombs, terrorists, teaching in our universities, left wing. So they're teaching our children these left-leaning ideas. And if you go against your professor, you know, you're risking a grade. Anybody with a sane mind would think that. Well, you know, you can't talk too much against this guy because, you know, you get an F on your paper. So, again, back to the freedoms. We have legislation that gets pushed through that nobody reads. So anything could have been hidden in there. And as we're finding out, this Obama scare horse shit, now we're finding out they hid all kinds of shit in there. And I mean shit. Some pretty stinky, nasty horse shit. Oh, we didn't know it was in there. Well, your premiums are gonna go down. If you like your if you like your hair care plan, you can keep your what? Holy, everything was a lie. Upside down. Again, everything. Everything. Think about it. Now, where's the freedom in being forced to buy anything? In the Constitution, it clearly defines the government as not having the right to make you buy anything. That means for any reason. So, this whole bunghole scare is wholly unconstitutional. So we're maybe forced again. Let me see. News organizations are having their phones tapped and their records looked over by a criminal attorney general of the United States. Because Holder is criminal. When he outrightly ignores the crack Pampers threat to George Zimmerman, who they immediately put as guilty, Holder looks the other way. They put a bounty on a man's head. That's a crime. Holder looks the other way. They intimidated voters. This is on camera at voting stations. Holder turns the other way. Where are the freedoms in this country anymore? Are you free? Are you really free in this country anymore? Where are our freedoms? If the police want to look through your house, as they did in Boston, looking for a suspect, they can tear you out of your house and look through your house without having to get a warrant, all in the name of a suspect. Any old suspect. Now we hear horror stories of people being torn out of their house for living in the wrong neighborhood. The cops get the address wrong and people are being shot over cops having an address wrong. A man has a seizure in police custody and they can't control him, so they shoot him with beanbags and kill him. You know, we are seeing a lot of overreaches of our not only government but our law enforcement. What do you think is going to happen in Detroit? Think they might call in the National Guard, call state of emergency, blah blah blah? I think it might happen. And I think that's going to be a test run, as Boston was, to see how complacent people are going to be to having their house ransacked in the name of a suspect, who, by the way, if you remember right, was supposedly shot in the throat catastrophically so he couldn't speak. Now a cop has just released some photos to show that there was no throat injury whatsoever. Remember? It was national news. It was pretty public. This guy got shot in the throat, supposedly. Couldn't talk. Couldn't communicate. This is what we heard. Those photos clearly show no throat injury whatsoever. Whatsoever. Never mind catastrophic. What freedoms do we have in this country anymore? I think it's time to stand up and take them back. All of our lawmakers are guilty at one point or another for voting for some kind of legislation that goes directly against the Constitution. Here in Connecticut, every legislator here, the governor, the lieutenant governor, the senators, Murphy and that other asshole there, Blumenthal, with their gun grab legislation, they went directly against the Constitution. They should be out. They should have been out of a job as soon as they voted that, as soon as they even suggested it. That's going against the Constitution, which they took an oath to uphold and defend. Every one of them, every legislator takes the same oath to uphold and defend the Constitution. Look at the Constitution and tell me why the only amendment that has the phrase "shall not be infringed," that's there for a reason, and the only amendment it is on is the one that says we are to be armed. We are the militia. When the government gets out of hand, don't you think it's getting out of hand? NDAA, they can come in your house in the middle of the night and grab you up without justification, explaining for nobody, and make you disappear, throw you in a jail cell and let you rot and not ever have to explain it. That's what NDAA is. Look into it. Anybody that voted for this shit should be thrown in a jail cell themselves. As I just said, this is a clear violation of their oath to uphold and defend the Constitution. Anybody that voted to keep the NSA going, the NSA should be shut down. The IRS should be shut down. They were caught abusing their authority, abusing their power. And that's what it is, power. When the NSA can collect information and the calls, they admitted it, remember. They collect the calls. They collect the content of the calls. And they listen to them. Believe you me. If I say a few certain keywords, a few people are listening to that call, not just one. Because they want to know about communications between supposed terrorists. If they're so thorough and they're so good and they know what they're doing, how come a couple of Boston bombers supposedly slipped through their fingers, slipped through the cracks, even after they were warned by Russia? Twice. I don't get this. How free are we? How free do people really feel to speak their minds? When the people fear the government, there is tyranny. When the government fears the people, there is freedom. Thomas Jefferson. God bless America. God bless us all. Better stand up, patriots. How free do you feel?